Hello everybody, today we're doing the second video on the Primo Principio by Blessed John Duns Scotus. Today we're going to be doing the first half of Chapter 2, specifically conclusions 1 through 8. So Chapter 2 here is separated into a series of 16 different conclusions which Scotus draws primarily from the first 4 divisions in essential causal series he made, but also from other areas of his metaphysics, such as the nature of matter. Okay. The first conclusion is that nothing is essentially ordered to itself, because if it was, then that thing would be more perfect than itself, which is nonsense. This is from the order of eminence. The posterior is not as perfect as the prior, but if something was its own prior and its own posterior, then it would be both more perfect and less perfect than it is, which is obviously nonsense. The same with the order of dependency. Something cannot depend upon itself. The second conclusion is any essential order in any essential order, a circle is impossible. Again, otherwise a thing would be more perfect than itself, otherwise a thing would depend upon itself. The third conclusion, what is not subsequent to a prior is not subsequent to the posterior. This transitivity, this is essentially just saying, like, if A doesn't cause C and B is an effect of A, then B also does not cause C. Essentially, whatever is not dependent on the prior is not dependent on the posterior either. Next, we have conclusion 4. What is not ordered to an end is not an effect. This is to say, anything which is not goal-directed, anything which is not aiming at something is not an effect. The first argument here is that nothing is an effect without having an efficient cause. All efficient causes are ordered to ends, therefore all effects are ordered to ends. If you wanted support for premise 2 here, you might be interested in looking at Edward Feser's book on Aquinas, which goes over some arguments for that. Argument 2, the other 3 causes, that would be formal, efficient, and material, only act insofar as they are ordered to a final end. Effects are only products of the other 3 causes, therefore effects are only produced insofar as they are ordered to a final end. And the third argument is that it is informative to say that a cause produces an effect for an end, but it is not informative to say that a cause has an end because it produces an effect. You might want to pause that one and think about it a little bit. I think that argument is actually quite interesting. And I haven't seen it anywhere else, but Conclusion 5. What is not an effect is not ordered to an end. All effects happen for the purpose of an end, but the end does not similarly happen for some further purpose. It is the final end. And then Scotus notes a false opinion here. The final end of a creature is not its chronologically last action. The thing that you were created for was not just the last couple seconds of your existence. That would be dumb. Next we have conclusion number 6. What is not an effect cannot be made of matter. Argument 1, matter cannot actualize itself, thus it requires actualization from another. Something that is not an effect cannot require actualization from another, therefore something that is not an effect cannot have matter. Argument 2, efficient causes are prior to material causes. Nothing is prior to something that is not an effect. Therefore, something that is not an effect cannot have a material cause. Argument 3. A composite of matter and form, being truly one, has an entity which causes its unity. This could come from either A, form and matter, B, matter or form, C, something external to both things. It cannot be A, for things taken as separate things cannot be the cause of unity. It cannot be B, because taken by themselves neither is a full entity. Therefore it must be C, specifically that there is something external which is causing unity. Now, what's important about this argument is that what's not an effect cannot be caused by, something else. So therefore, what is not an effect cannot be made of matter. Conclusion 7. What is not made of matter is not formed. To be formed requires matter that is informed by the form. That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Yeah. And then conclusion 8, the final one for today. What is not caused by extrinsic causes is not caused by intrinsic causes. Argument number 1. What is the effect of intrinsic causes contains an imperfection while extrinsic causes don't. That is to say that if you have intrinsic causes, the kind of being you are is imperfect. Whereas if you have extrinsic causes, if you're extrinsically caused by something, that doesn't imply that that other thing is imperfect. So extrinsic causes are prior to intrinsic causes. That's the order of dependence. But what is not an effect is prior to extrinsic causality. So it is prior to intrinsic causality, so it doesn't have an intrinsic cause. Argument number 2. Intrinsic causes are effects of extrinsic causes. What is not an effect cannot be caused by anything. Therefore, what is not an effect cannot have an intrinsic cause. And that'll be all for today. Thank you for listening.